Alrighty, we've got day 2 of our factoring notes. And as we talked about yesterday, we are going to use what the greatest common factor is, and we're going to divide that out. So a factor, remember, those are the numbers we multiply to get a product. So finding the greatest common factor of the following, well, I can look at these. One thing that I always do if there's two numbers or a list of numbers, I always take the smallest one and see if that will work. So 12 does divide by 4 and 16 does divide by 4. So 4 is my greatest common factor there. 12, 18, and 9. 9 is a factor of 18, but not of 12. So I know my greatest common factor will probably be less than that. Will be less than that, sorry. So 3 would be the next factor there, and that does indeed work for all of them. 12 divided by 3 is 4, 18 divided by 3 is 6, 9 divided by 3 is 3. This next one, 8 does not go into either one of those, so it's not 8, and I'm thinking, oh, factors of 8. 4 works for 28, but not 22, but definitely they are all even, so I know 2 works, and in fact is the greatest common factor here. 16 doesn't work. Then I start thinking of the factors of 16, and 8 does work. 16 is not a factor of 24, but 8. 56 divided by 8 is 7. 16 divided by 8 is 2, and 24 divided by 8 is 3. So when we factor in math, we're finding the actual factors of the expression. That is, we are looking for what was distributed or multiplied by, therefore we are undistributing. So we just did a bunch of work with the distributive property, and so just for a reminder, the distributive property, we would have like 2 times x minus 4. We would distribute or pass it out, end up with 2x minus 8. So now we're going to go backwards. We're going to go, oh, I can take that 2 out, and then what would go in those parentheses? So that is what we're looking at here. So my greatest common factor of 6 and 10 is 2. So you put the greatest common factor outside of the parentheses. And then I think, okay, 6 divided by 2, well, that is 3. So that's what goes here. I'm keeping that x. Don't lose it. I didn't take it out here. It was not part of my greatest common factor. And then 10 divided by 2 is how I get 5. So that is how I get those numbers there. I have a negative 4 and a negative 10 here, and since they're both negative, I'm going to take a negative number out. And the greatest common factor they have is 2. So negative 4 divided by negative 2 gives me a 2x, and now my x term is positive. That will benefit you later in life quite greatly. And then negative 10 divided by negative 2 is going to give me a positive 5 there. When I come down here, I'm going to do the same thing. They just haven't set it up for me to where I know how many blanks I have. So I've got a 2 in common. Because my x term isn't negative, it's just the second term that's negative, I'm going to leave it as taking out a positive. So I'm going to take out a positive 2 there. And when I divide that by 2, all I end up with is my x. And then negative 8 divided by 2 gives me a negative 4. When I have 16x plus 22, my greatest common factor, is still a 2. And I get an 8x there and an 11 there. These, I'm putting an equal sign because these are indeed equivalent to each other, just like this up here was equivalent to that. It's just a different way to write the expression, and it helps me when I'm solving an equation. I need to get it here so that then I can isolate the variable. If I have, for instance, something that looks like this over top of something else in a fraction, if I can get it back to here, I might be able to get rid of those terms, and that can help me out. So there's different reasons we would want it in the different forms, and they are equivalent to each other, and it is important to know how to go back and forth between the two. Down here, some problems that we might encounter with this might be geometry based. So a rectangle has an area of 4x plus 6, and it says the width is 2. So you're like, in order to find the area, I do length times width. They just told me that my width was 2 and my area was 4x plus 6. So 2 times something gave me that. So I'm thinking, well, if I go back and I undo that, so if I divide by 2, I can find out that this right here is the width, and then this expression is the length. So the length is equal to 2x plus 3. And if I were to multiply those, it would get me back to the 4x plus 6, which was my area. Same thing down here again. You might want to pause the video and try this one on your own. Another rectangle. This time the area is 9x minus 12. And they tell me that the width is 3x minus 4. So that area equals length times width. And you can write it like this too, if that kind of helps. 9x minus 12 is equal to some number times 3x minus 4. And I'm like, how did I get from 9x to 3x? So how did I get from 9x to 3x? Well, I would just multiply by 3. So my number that I'm going to pull out is a 3. And if I do 3 times 3, I do get 9x. And 3 times negative 4 gives me negative 12. So my length in this case was equal to 3. On the back, you are going to be practicing. Greatest common factor here is 5. When I divide by 5, I get 3x plus 2. And I don't lose the 5. The 5 didn't go away. It didn't get canceled out. It just got divided out, which is different, which means it's not gone. When I run into something like 7x minus 3, you're like, when I was doing this greatest common factors, that would have been a 1. Well, if all I can factor out is a 1, I can't do anything. So this is all you can do. You cannot factor anything out of there. Down here, my greatest common factor is 3. So I get 2x plus 3. And then I can take out a 5. I get 6x minus 5 when I divide by 5. And then I've got, again, one that I cannot take anything out of, and I just need to leave it at number 5. There's no greatest common factor. Down here, I can take out 25. And when I do that, I get 2x minus 3. I'm going to take out a 6 here and get 4x minus 3. Nothing I can take out here again. Here I'm going to take out a 4. 4x minus 3. And here I can take out a 9, and I get 4x plus 5. And I highly recommend, once again, that you pause and try them out yourself. All that good stuff. A square picture frame. So we have a square. Remember, a square, all the sides are the same. It says the perimeter is 20. X plus 32. Well, perimeter of a square, all the sides are the same, so that means 4 times something equaled 20x plus 32. Well, 20 divided by 4 and 32 divided by 4, and I'm going to end up with 5x plus 8. Down here it says the total area of this rectangle shown below is 4x plus 36 squared feet. And it just wants me to factor that. Well, I can factor out a 4, and I just get x plus 9. So hopefully that helps you. If you were struggling or needed to go back and look at anything, more than welcome to use this.